I had a friend that did a long time ago, so. Okay, I'd like to call tonight's workshop meeting to order. We all can please stand for a pledge of allegiance to the flag. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, everybody. We'll jump right into tonight's agenda. Item number 2 on the agenda, review resolution for disposition of township records. Mr. Beidle.
Yes, this is our standard annual resolution we ask the board to look at as we work through any records that have met their time frame to be destroyed. We do box those records and then take them to the shredding event. So by law, you have to authorize us to deem these that we can destroy them, and that's what this resolution is.
Okay. Are any questions for the township manager in regards to this resolution? Okay, item 3, review bid recommendation for community center expansion public improvements completion projects.
This is to finish the rain garden that's located to the rear of the building. For the project, we'll be basically amending the soils that are there and doing the plantings, and that will finish that out. We had and received one bidder. Brian has the details on that. I want to say it's like 89,000 and change. And I believe they're going to recommend the award to that contract.
Yeah, with the so it's basically generally cleaning up the rest of the community center rain garden, amended soils, plantings, and seeding.
Are
there's
we
also-
planning on adding in the alternate?
Any alternate?
The,
There's an alternate part to this bid.
Uh,
Yeah,
like-
that's to mow, overseed basin 1. And yeah, mow and overseed the existing basin.
yes,
okay,
Yes.
so we are going with the 92.
yes.
Okay.
Any questions? Any additional questions? What is the timeline on this? Do we think? Do we have a construction timeline, or is when the work will be done?
You know, I honestly don't know that offhand. I should, and I apologize. But the bid process, the recommendation, I'm sure is going to take 4 to 6 weeks to get the contract documents finalized through JJ in our office. And then I would assume it's probably a 60-day contract.
Okay.
So we'll be done this summer.
Okay. Item 4, review resolution accepting an easement agreement and covenant running with the land in relation to the Walbach subdivision with Miller, Brader, and Ronco.
Yeah, so the solicitor's office, as well as Zach and the sewer enforcement office, has been working through this situation for numerous months now. With the Wobach subdivision, there is a force main sanitary sewer line. This line runs behind, you'll see in the picture up there in the attachment, behind 2 properties that was part of the Wobach subdivision. There's some plan notes that says the original lot 2 would construct that line, and if any further or future individuals went into that line, the township would accept the responsibility for the low pressure line between the street at Hidden Valley and to the rear of those properties. So what the solicitor has prepared, number 1 is the easement, that 25-foot as depicted on the original Bud Newton plan, the acceptance of that right-of-way easement. Then you'll have the agreements from the property owners that will allow this to be constructed and have as-built. Like I said, that part's already constructed. The other agreement allows Mr. Brader, who's on the corner, access to the line from Mr. Miller after they've worked together to work out a contractual agreement for that. So basically on the top, you'll see the main force main. Then each individual property owner will have a low pressure force main from their house to that line. So that is their lateral. There are shutoffs at the end of that lateral, close to where it meets the township line. There will be grinder pump agreements for both of those individuals for the care and maintenance of that. Did I miss anything, David?
No, this goes back to a 2015 two-lot subdivision by Mr. Wolbach. And Bruce accurately stated it. That's what the notes provided. And now that Wolbach's going to hook into the line that Miller built, it's time for the township to accept the dedication of both the easement area shown in yellow up there and the line that goes through the middle of it.
Are we at the end of everything that could happen with this piece of property? Because I'm tired of it.
No, we're still out sidewalks that they were, Mr.
Sidewalk
Wolbach
on
was
the-
supposed to build, but I don't think you'll ever see that sidewalk.
I'm not
And-
sure he ever paid his engineer, so. but-
Right.
And
Right,
you may
and we
see,
actually took the escrow for that, which was about 8,000 to pay for all of this that's been going on with getting the sewer straightened out.
and you may see one more connection on that lot 3 if it would ever need it. Technically has access, I believe, to this line as well. So
Yeah, it's the Lower Country Road, Hidden Valley. It's been. I'm not sure he ever paid anybody. This has been a nightmare for, I feel like as long as I've been on board, this project. Okay, any questions for either the solicitor or Mr. Vital? Okay, moving along, item 5, review resolution accepting the property from LCA located at 1900 Mill Creek Road.
yeah, so David's office prepared the resolution accepting that property for the public may or may not know. The township was approached by the county and they were offering a small lot on Mill Creek Road. It does have some stream frontage. You'll see Ms. Fletcher has it on the display. I want to say is that like 0.362 acres, somewhere in that vicinity, or 0.623. So with that, the board would authorize us to accept that transaction and have that become township property. We are working to just have a environmental review. We're going to meet Thursday to have that discussion with an outside company to move that forward so that everybody feels comfortable, with the history of that lot. There was some people may wonder, there was a building there that was a pump station for sewage, I believe, in the 70s and 80s. And as they changed the sewer system, it was no longer needed. So they actually demoed that, I think, last year. So that structure's gone.
So that piece of property where that pump house is that big?
1.2.
Oh, my goodness. I would never, ever, ever. I thought it was like a postage stamp. Yeah, not even. I can't believe it's that much land.
I thought it would be good to maybe have a parking space there, some fishing access,
Yeah.
because it goes
No,
right to the stream. So
much more than I would ever have imagined looking at it, driving by it a million times.
Yeah, I was gonna ask. You said it was Surrey. I thought it was a well there. Surrey.
I don't,
That had big.
yeah.
I think it was sewer
Yeah.
at one time.
And as a matter of fact, looking at it now, it's hard to imagine that the pump house actually fit on that piece of land, looking at it like when you drive by. Interesting.
Them lines must, I guess that's like doing the environmental stuff.
We wanted to make sure that, any processes or chemicals they might have had there, didn't impact the land. So. And we don't know its history, so we wanted to make
You can blame me for that. With my environmental background, when I heard pump station, I said, we got to get somebody to take a look at it. It's $2,200 soup to nuts with a written report. So that's a safety valve.
Oh, I
I completely agree.
mentioned it as a good idea.
Thanks.
Okay, any questions for the solicitor or Mr. Vital in regards to this resolution? Item 6, review resolution for 2022 year-end budget transfer.
Yeah, as per our fiscal policy, and unfortunately, I apologize, the finance director is actually out this week. So he couldn't be here. I'll try to work my way through this one. This is our normal, accounting, reconciliation for these various categories that, Mr. Waltmeyer's attached for you. Basically, moving these line items to, ensure financially and audit wise that, we've met our policy to make these adjustments and make the numbers equivalent to each other and, make sure funds were sufficiently funded.
Okay, any questions in regards to the resolution on the year-end budget transfer? My only, I don't know if you can answer this or not. We're transferring money from roads and bridges to LMT library.
So,
The question is, what do we still have that would be considered LMT library?
so here's the way on what they're doing for their auditing side, right? So if the library budget that we pass through in the line item, is the full library tax. If we collect more in library tax above, that means we pay more below on that side. So to do that, now that category is not, it's over the budgeted amount, right? So if we budgeted, and I'll just throw numbers out there. If we budgeted 600 and we actually collected 650, we budgeted that the library would receive 600. Now they receive 650. Right. So that's an adjustment. That's an adjusting entry where we say, okay, it's now 650. Where did we not spend money? So like out of roads, right? And we make that adjusting entry so that we technically on the accounting side overspend a line item. However, we receive the money on the top end. So we don't make the adjustment to say, well, we were supposed to receive 600 and we received 650. We just say that goes to the general amount that we received. Now, what do we tag these items to make them compliant on the accounting side so that it matches like what we paid out? So we spent less in roads and maintenance. So that was a category they identified to say, okay, that 11,700, we're going to take out of that category and put it in this category.
Okay, any questions for Mr. Beidle?
So, yeah, I got one question.
Yes.
So beans we collected more than we budgeted.
Well,
Is that,
if I use the library example, yes. So if we collect 650, we pass that through.
they budgeted 600.
Correct.
Library.
Correct. It's not like we would take the extra 50,000, right? Because it's the library tax in that instance and put that through. So I could give you another one like, let me pick like fire hydrants. So if you see his notation in there, fire hydrants, when we budget, we receive a projection of what the authority's budget is going to be for the year and what their hydrant fees are going to be. So we say, okay, it's 175,000. That's our budget projection. When it comes back and they raise rates in the beginning of the year and it's 190,000. Now, technically we have to spend 190,000 to still pay that bill. This is the confirmation from you gentlemen that we didn't spend it in X or salaries or something, and we're going to reallocate it here. So.
Okay.
Hopefully that makes sense.
Okay, item 7, review of account application for PSDLAF, the Pennsylvania School District Liquid Assets Fund, and flyer for Government Transparency Series Fund.
Yeah, so with this, we've been exploring various alternatives for where we can place some of our dollars. One of the products that we found out there is this PSDLAF fund, where originally started for school districts. This fund is basically a checking account. They'll call it a savings, cash savings, right? that's paying you a daily interest rate. So the daily interest rate does fluctuate. However, we do have some monies now, approximately $5 million with Fulton that's in our checking account. That money earns basically no interest. So we said, what can we do to be somewhat liquid, diversify ourselves a little bit from having all of our banking in one area. And so we found this product and said, okay, if we aggressively move this money now into the checking, into the savings account, get a daily interest rate at, 5%, we're able to capture at least some more interest than what it's currently getting in the checking. We'll move in the finance department back and forth to cover our bills. And we feel that's an aggressive, smart way to be mindful of picking up some interest. So we wanted to try this product just to see kind of how it would work. We kind of envision around 2.5 million in there. That still leaves us fairly liquid in the checking account as well, while we're capturing some of these values. So of course, with this product, you'll see before you, there has to be a resolution passed by the board to authorize us to do this, kind of be, I don't want to say a member, but, be a depositor of the system. So wanted to get your thoughts, see if anybody, thought that was a good idea to kind of move forward with that.
So I'll just put it in terms that I understand. So this is basically an investment opportunity that allows us to stay liquid with cash on hand or cash we already have in other funds, but we'll actually earn money on it while it's in.
Correct. And instead of us, and we have multiple CDs as well, but you're locked into CDs with term. This is no term. So you're basically the other day it was a 5.09% was the daily rate for any monies that you would have in the deposit. So
Basically a money market.
Yeah.
correct.
Okay, should we consider putting in cash from some of the other funds that we have, like the sewer fund or the liquid fuels or?
Yeah, so we actually we are looking at funds, and I can give the board a better fund breakdown. However, we have worked to spread ourselves out where we have those in some 12-month CDs. So we're in various, TD Bank is one of our main suppliers of that because they were high fours on their percent. So right away when interest rates went up, we started to tie those dollars up from various funds. So we have around 5 million liquid left of that, and thought that this would be a good vehicle. So those are spread out. Pliget, we have some money in Pliget, which is basically a money market on that side, and then the rest of the money is locked up in CDs.
Okay.
And our thoughts are as we start to liquidate those, if we're not seeing the same type of returns, we would go into this to earn some interest until we saw what the market was going to do and maybe locked in some additional term rate. Jeff's prepared a sheet, and I'll make sure the board has that of all of our kind of cash holdings and where they all are as far as depositories. We also didn't want to be in one main banking account with all the things going on in banking right now too. So, is it? It's
Bruce, do
actually
we
in the
know who else
department.
is using this?
What's that?
Do we know other municipalities?
Upper Macungie is using this. They were one of our local ones. This was basically a school district creation back in the day, and they've kind of evolved their business model. I believe East Penn is in this too. So definitely some variation. And Renee's right. I believe if you look, he has it in here in the financial report on your attachment. He's included a page of where all of our holdings currently are for the board. So.
Okay, any other questions?
Yeah, just,
Yes.
maybe you don't know the answer, but For government, do they hire FDIC insurance?
No, as I understand it, we,
Below $250,000.
correct.
This outfit will participate in federal insurance.
I believe for the first 250, but I'll confirm it.
I just wondered if we're way over.
Yeah, we're definitely over that in some of our accounts.
The way to keep it covered. But spread it out.
And we are definitely trying to spread it out a little bit. So. And this amount we figured is fairly significant that we should at least be trying to earn some interest, but we're always mindful about bills we have to pay too. So we didn't want to take it out the longer term.
Okay. Item number 8, review design for pickleball courts behind township buildings.
Yeah, so we've had some discussions about this project. We budgeted the 250,000 in our capital budget this year to investigate the ability for us to turn the tennis courts to the rear of this facility into pickleball courts. So you'll see, this isn't the set color or anything, but you'll see the picture above that Renee's displayed. We think that we can fit 8 courts back there, a little bit less than what we originally thought. If you look to the right side of the picture, that is the east side currently of the court. You'll notice you see tennis court under there, and you would probably ask, why can't we use this area for more carts? With the drainage coming down from the hill, the plan is to cut back some of the growth there to get rid of some of the shade as that damages the surface. And then we're going to have to improve drainage there. So that area you see at the end of the court to the current court, there would be some under drain placement and just general area improvement. Then the rest of the court would lay out in the footprint that we currently have back there. You'll see a divider of 4-foot high fence in the middle between the courts. There's also anticipated phase to potentially do Musco lights in there, so we could have that ability. We're still working on quotes to see what that would be to us as we're getting close to the project budget. To the left is a skate park. You may or may not notice in the last couple of weeks, we've taken down the fence that was surrounding the skate park to give us a little easier access to get in there and clean and maintain it, as well as get to the rear of the property. We prepared or asked for a quote for sealing that as well. We have some concerns that when we do that, keeping people off of it until that surface dries and preps. As we've understand from one of the vendors, another municipality just did a surface like this. People wanted to skate on it right away, and they couldn't keep them off of that component. So we're hoping we're going to be able to have some cooperation if we do that. So we've received 2 quotes, one from Keystone Sports Construction, one from Pavement Maintenance Contractors. They are both CoStar's vendors. They've included that work as far as the resurfacing, doing recapping fence posts and new fence. Our low bid was Pavement Maintenance Contractors at $198,920. And our Keystone bid was $235,912.04. I'm going to ask if the board chooses to move forward, that we've just put a consideration under the manager topic at the next meeting to, move forward and consider the low vendor Pavement Maintenance Contractors at $198,920 with their CoStar's number. We do have an additional quote to do the and seal the skate park side for $14,540. We're confirming that that's an accurate number from them. That 235,000 number from the other vendor didn't include that. So we're trying to do our due diligence to be under our contracted budget. So didn't know if the board had any additional feedback, or if you like what you see, or you think this is a good opportunity for us. We're hearing timelines. If we can hurry up and aggressively approve this, it still may not be till late fall. As they're slotting in, other places, and we'll have to get our slot in line. They know we need this done by the end of the year for our budget, so.
Any questions? Okay. Item 9, review design for Farmington Playground.
So also in the budget this year, this kind of mirrors the Wild Cherry Grants playground that we just brought before the board last meeting to move forward with a grant. In our budget, we budgeted $350,000 to make some improvements at the Farmington Playground. This includes the pour in place as well as a new structure. I've asked Mr. Cup to provide us a rendering so we could let the board know where we are. That is what we are looking to kind of do over there. We think it's a pretty cool idea. We are waiting. We had our original budget numbers, and I want to say it's like 325,000. We are waiting to confirm those numbers with how things go. As well, the pickleball courts, this is a Co-Stars vendor, Co-Stars contract number. So we'll work to kind of bring that back to the board and make sure everybody feels comfortable as we move forward. The plan is to move this a little closer to the parking lot and the bathrooms, connect it with a small path. So we have accessibility there, and then it's not kind of sitting on the back component there on its own, which we hope is a little bit easier for people to access with their kids.
All right, so my question is this, we're talking about Farmington, we're talking about Wild Cherry. What are our plans in terms of elimination of other structures, or at least non-replacement of other structures?
Yeah, and I think we, as we brought that forward, and we can have more conversations, no removal at this point. We know that these ones are kind of key places in the plan, all the way down to even the 11. So that's why they were picked to kind of move forward with that. See how they would go, see how the installs go, see if people our residents are, using this equipment, and we see a good response to kind of help us as well trend down. But no removals at this point, just getting these replacements moving. And these would be our first pour in places to try to see how that surface works for us too.
And I think that equipment at Creamery Park should be a fairly high priority.
Okay. Excellent.
Yeah, I mean, if you think about it, the ones that probably get used the most, Creamery, Quarry, Farmington, because it can serve a number of neighborhoods in the area. Beaumont has one, and that's probably newer than most, only because that neighborhood's slightly newer than most. Raymore doesn't have one, which I'm trying to think.
That's the closest one's the Farmington, and
Yeah, but I'm not even sure what the open space in Graymore is.
it's the
Floodplain.
pathway.
The pathway, okay.
Along the river.
Yep,
Yeah.
okay. That makes sense. Julie, you have a question? You just gotta come up and ask.
Great water's hooked to that bridge too.
Yeah,
Flip
yep,
bridge.
yeah, that's.
Could you pull your mic a little closer?
Isn't the idea that the playgrounds now will be placed at the regional parks?
We had talked about.
And those are, and isn't, I thought Farmington was regional.
Yeah, we had
We're
spoken
trying
about
to,
that.
as we replace these, we're
Yeah.
trying to replace them in more regional areas
Right.
where as other ones come up to be replaced, we don't replace.
Right.
So
Right.
Farmington can take care of Ancient Oaks West, they
Yeah.
can take care of
But I mean,
Beaumont.
you were wondering about Graymar. I would say that's not regional, right?
But this would serve as this would be
Yeah.
for Graymore. I'm trying to think what other parks in that area have a play structure right now that would go away at some point. Graymore doesn't have one, but they have the walking path and the bridge over to Spring Creek Road.
Yeah.
Which I guess makes sense.
Gotcha.
And what we tried to do with these main ones too, is with the opportunity for some grant money, DCNR money, we wanted to get in and start to know that we needed to do a replacement because some of these places are getting very old. Tap that funding stream if we can, to kind of help us, and maybe we can aggressively start to do two at a time
Yep.
to get us where we need to be.
Okay.
As-
So you said this structure is going to be located closer to the bathrooms?
Yes.
Okay.
You- Yeah, are you able to pull that up, Ryan? Can you pull Farmington up for us? It's thinking. Yeah, so we wanted to try to get it closer to that parking lot. We always felt that where it is now, it's hard if you're pushing a stroller, if if you have a wheelchair, like getting over there is a little bit more difficult. So how can we get it to there between the pavilion and the actual bathroom units?
Okay. Now, is this going to be in addition to the existing?
The existing will be removed. This will be the main functioning playground there, because this includes the what do they call it? The 5-12 equipment. So kids 5 to 12, and I believe is it 2-5 for the younger kids? So or 2-7, 5-12 has those components of that. So we're trying to look at an area like more in line either over here or over here, depending on, what kind of room we need. That way you can come off the bathroom pathway, and get to where we need to be.
So just a couple things to think about there, as if you pan out just a little bit.
Yep.
You're gonna be until that moves, you're in prime location for interference from cricket. In addition to the right side of that parking lot is overflow parking right now. So that becomes an issue as well. In terms of the placement of this.
That's good feedback.
It's one of those, until cricket is moved at some point out of there, I would tell you the only place you could go with that would be right there.
Look over in here.
So you're closer to the parking lot, you're behind the basketball courts, which isn't a big deal. The other side, you actually lose parking, because even though parking is in the parking lot, it does extend past the parking lot on high volume days, mostly Saturdays and Sundays when cricket's there, for their 12-hour game. Which, by the way, I still hear about constantly. So that's the only, I would say, wrinkle in this. And I'm still going to say this, and I'll say this forever and ever and ever. If there's a way we can fit into the budget to make that bathroom look less like
Compound, a bunker.
a bunker, some sort of a pitched roof on it, like literally just to make it look nicer, because it's an eyesore for the most part. It looks like exactly what it's described as, a brick, what. Possibly one of the worst designed buildings in the township. Okay, any other questions in regards to the playground structure at Farmington Hills? Okay, moving forward, item 10, review proposed creation of a streetlight district for Mountain View Estates and authorize execution of the PPL outdoor light service order.
We're gonna make Renee talk now.
This has always been a Renee thing.
So this is part of our new process where we actually have the developers and have the lights installed at the same time that it's being developed. So this would be the exact same layout that was in the recorded plan. We just have to have the board approve the streetlight district.
So just for reference, the way it used to work is a neighborhood would have to collect so many signatures to have the lights put in after the fact. We
Correct.
changed that several years ago so that as new developments are created, streetlights are already put in, but we still need to approve the streetlight district as it
So,
happens.
But the developer is required to sign the petition because they are the property. owner.
Right. Okay.
Mhm.
Okay, when there was the votes and so forth, it was based on linear street
That is correct.
feet.
Yes.
Could we just, for the new ones, could we just switch it to a consistent price per lot?
I would say we'll need David for that because I think the law, at least in the second class township code, only gives you certain options. I would have to look at the first one. As I think you have to use that distance. I don't think you can flat fee the entire parcels. Would have to look.
Yeah, I know that, I'm trying to think, when we did my neighborhood, people who lived on a corner, the price was higher because they have two frontages.
So, but they're charged at 20% for the short side and 100% for the long side. It's not 100% for both sides.
Okay.
Yeah, and I think Bruce is right, where the first class code, if we would change it, we would have to default back to the first class code, and that actually, I'm pretty sure goes by the front footage as well.
Commissioner, I didn't hear your question. Could you state it again?
I was wondering if we could just go on a per lot basis rather than
Okay.
linear feet.
Yeah, I'll take a look.
And the price of 77 cents per linear foot has actually been the same since 1985 or 87, I believe. It has not changed. And the township is not losing money because that was looked into probably around 2015.
So on the quick look, and I'll wait till David gets into his side and I'll be able to look a little bit further. It says the Board of Commissioners, may make regulations or may assess costs of street lighting and ornamental lighting in accordance with Article 25-A. So I just have to pull 25-A and I can figure out how you can calc it.
And this is development off Elbow Lane?
Correct.
Okay.
Okay, so I guess the answer is we stay the way we are.
I mean,
At
David
least
can
for the
look into
time
it,
being.
But I'm pretty sure we have to. I'm pretty sure the first class code isn't much different than what we already have.
Be able to take a look at it tomorrow, the next day at the worst.
Okey. Item 11, manager updates. I mean, these first 10 weren't manager updates?
I guess I'll continue to be long-winded here. Just a couple of things for the board. As you may or may not know, the township water line. We need to have water in this building, so we've worked to get several quotes to bore a line from the old pump house for the community center. If you notice, it's over here into the left of the campus. Underground, bore a 3-inch line from that facility through the parking lot, behind the township building, and come into this back well room and water connection where the current pump house is. The well has been contaminated. So we're under a DEP order as we are a public water source to continue to monitor. And basically, there's no way for us to fix the well and make it compliant. We could do a treatment system. We would have to have a treatment plant operator here to monitor that every day. So we're going to try this option to get the boring done. We would then connect the pump house to the water line extension that we ran with the community center. So we would have city water to this building. One of the quotes that we received was just over $99,000. We had another individual provide us with a quote of $160,000. However, they have to make some adjustments down as they included some materials that we don't need. So we're waiting to tomorrow. We should have that. Would like to proceed forward. Once again, do the repair as it's an emergency maintenance item. So that we can have water, and then either depending on timing, bring it back to the board first with just a consideration on the company and what we're going to move forward on, or We think, and David can confirm, I guess, that even if we do the emergency repair, it might be in our best interest to just bring it back and document it with the board after too. So we think that's good housekeeping on our end. Our time frame, of course, because we have the pool opening in, 6 weeks. We are hearing 4 to 6 weeks to get this moving, hopefully, if the drilling company is available. So we are trying as best as we can to move this forward. Didn't know if
So
there, yep.
when that's done, then this building would have city water, so we wouldn't be running into the same problem in the future with the contamination of the well.
Correct. Correct. And all of the associated systems with that well. So, everything we have with that downstairs is, I don't want to say high maintenance at times, but high maintenance. Antique, but we have treatment and softeners and everything else with that.
Well, I think I mentioned recently, I know across the street at Brookside, their halfway house, which is right across, has similar problems with water. Because now to make ice in there, they actually had to bring in a ice maker with bottled water attachment in order to make ice.
And that's where we've been here with the bottled water and everything else. We're hoping to get back to normal with that. So I don't think I missed anything. Did I, Brian, on that?
You got it.
We're pushing as hard as we can.
Okay, the annex roof bids.
Yeah, Brian can speak to that. We had budgeted for the replacement of the Public Works rubber roof, just for the board's awareness. When you go into the crew chief room over there, we have several tarps directing the water to a trash can. So this is definitely a priority item for us. Brian has the schedule for the bids. They're almost prepared. We should see that by the end of summer, right, Brian?
We'll have a contract posted to pen bid by the end of this month, actually the end of this week. That's coming quick. We were looking at 4 weeks bid for the bid process. The only thing, this is slightly different from some of the other contracts that we do, because we're trying to turn this around quicker. We won't have bids in time for the next workshop meeting, which is May 22nd. We're looking to have bids, 4 weeks would put us at May 26th. So we'll have bids back a couple days after, but that'll be in time for the June 1st Board of Commissioners meeting. And we'll have paperwork to you guys before then. And we have a 30-day completion for that contract, which puts us into starting in July, basically doing the work in July.
Okay, any questions about the annex roof bids? Okay, access agreement with Turnpike for overpass at Camp Olympic. This is a fun one.
Yeah, this is a fun one. So when we had discussions with the Turnpike and their widening project, future widening project, part of Camp Olympic, if for those not familiar, the west side of our property actually is bisected by the Turnpike. So the only way for us to get access to that property to maintenance it, and at one time there was disc golf on that side, is to cross underneath the Turnpike Bridge. However, the Turnpike, owns that land above and below the bridge. So technically we're,
Trespass.
yes, technically we were trespassing to their property. So we asked the right-of-way representative if there was anything they could do to help accommodate us so that we could still get to our property. And they've provided a draft proposal. So we do need to carry certificate of insurance naming, the authority. There is no cost involved from the authority. I believe the agreement says, we have to maintain that in a like manner that it is now underneath there. And we would have rights to access. So we would have to bring that back to the board, have you officially adopt a resolution and accept the agreement. It has gone to legal. There are 2 or 3 items that would like to try to address. I don't believe, and, Mark Fisher also doesn't really believe that the authority is going to be willing to, negotiate on any of those items, but we'll try.
Any questions for Bruce about that? Okay, review proposal from Randy Rhodes for pension analysis consulting.
Yeah, so we included with the board's packet, a proposal and a little bit of background from, Attorney Rhodes. Since I've come on board here several years ago, I thought it'd be prudent that we kind of have a review of our pension documents. Not so much the plan provider, but, everything with the plan to make sure we're compliant with the, latest and greatest laws or things that we need to potentially address. I don't believe that there probably are any. However, I think this is a good housekeeping business item. So David and I reached out to Mr. Rhodes, who came recommended, and you'll see by his CV. This is his kind of specialty area for local governments. And we thought that we would ask for this proposal to get that review and give us some feedback. The cost is $15,000, which we feel is reasonable. We've told him basically I am not in any hurry. So when he gets time, as he was not going to accept us as a client with his workload currently, and I said we're not really in a hurry. However, we would like for you to start the review. So he provided that quote. The hourly is $225 an hour. If we have to have additional hourly charges, and the $15,000 rate. So wasn't sure if everybody was comfortable with kind of doing that review, just to have some good housekeeping. We would have to, and the reason also that we're going to have this go through a meeting, as David said, with the change in the first class township code, I am not able to hire legal. So the board would have to consider this additional legal in that manner.
Okay. Any questions? Okay, bridge rehabilitation bids, bid opening May 11th.
So we had talked about the project, and we budgeted for the painting of various metal bridges throughout the township. Camp Olympic, Smith Lane, Orchard Road, and I think I missed one more. I think Brian has all that data. So we had originally put that bid out. It was supposed to close mid of this month. We received no bidders on the project. So what we did was we worked with Brian and legal to extend the bidding opportunity to hope maybe we'll see something for May 11th. We realized the time frame in this season might be getting short, so we didn't want to be painting bridges in November. So we're hoping we'll see something, bring that back with a potential recommendation, have those numbers to you for the May workshop, so we can do a first meeting of June award. So just wanted to give the board an update on why you haven't seen a recommendation yet. And it's because we had no bidders. So.
And with that, with the extending the time frame, we also sent notifications to Krylon, who said they were going to bid, as well as I want to say 3 other contractors that had previously painted, that Stan Cup recommended, that had previously done work for the township several years back. Make sure we get somebody this time.
Okay.
All right. Anything else? I'll just thank Renee and the staff. The new and improved recreation issue of the township newsletter for this quarter has now hit mailboxes. So hopefully the residents find it useful. It is with our new vendor. Like I said, Renee and staff have been doing a lot of legwork. I think it's a nice readable doc, and hopefully it brings people to our programming, reminds them. So, and then Community Days Tuesday as well.
Week from Tuesday.
What's that? No, I'm sorry, not tomorrow, Tuesday.
Week from Tuesday.
Correct. Week from Tuesday.
Okay. I have a question, but I'll wait for departmental reports.
We're ready to go. If,
So moving on to departmental reports. So here's my question, and I don't understand, I don't know how this works specifically, but I think it's something to look at for the future, and I'd probably need a more detailed explanation, but in reading through recreation department report, one of the things I found interesting was that the Easter Bunny Photo Fund was sold out with 80 people. We have a residency of 33,000. How is it sold out at 80 people?
Well, the Easter Bunny gives us a day of the Easter Bunny's time. So, the Easter Bunny gets tired and has some other stops to make. So gets carrot breaks. So that's why we limit the event, the number. I'm sure the Easter Bunny, if we would
Well,
get
I'm
it
thinking
more
that the
carrots.
Easter Bunny, if we went and looked for Easter Bunny apprentices that maybe could share the duties on multiple days. My only thing is this, I think it's great. We have so much that we offer through our community recreation program. To call it sold out and then say we only had 80 people, I wonder, would it be sold out with 160 people? Or if it was because of, it's not like we're a small community. It's a fairly large community.
I'm sure the Easter Bunny would love to have multiple days too, so we could accommodate the Easter festivity.
Just something to
So-
think about for the future. Even if somehow we wound up with Santa Claus at Christmas time for photos, or one of his apprentices, it would be nice, because I think it is a nice thing. When we talk about the daddy-daughter dance, different stuff that goes on, it's great. I want to make sure that we allow everybody to have the opportunity to participate, as opposed to a very limited number in a 2-hour window.
I think that's a good idea. I think the Easter Bunny would probably love to be here multiple days.
Easter
Um,
Bunny loves it.
Easter Bunny loves it. So
Okay.
But,
we would,
this year, usually it sells out like in a few days. This was the first year, there were actually a few spots open.
The
like
day of.
week before,
Okay.
and that was unusual.
Okay. Good to know. That was just the one thing that stood out to me when I saw the number of people that Easter Bunny was able to service that day.
Easter Bunny likes to get some good pictures with everybody. That's like an individual picture. I believe acts up a little bit.
Hugs and high fives. I
Yeah,
saw.
high fives.
The other thing I will just point out to the board is that included in our packet are the cash and investments by fund and financial institution for all of our funds. So if there are any questions specifically derived from that, I'm sure we could raise them for Mr. Waltmeyer and Mr. Beidle offline, just to
And-
make sure.
Sure, and we can have him here as well. What I'd like to do with department heads is kind of have them start to attend some meetings occasionally. They're quarterly. So
Sure.
he's actually, like I said, on vacation this week, so he couldn't come, but
And the one thing I would say about that is I think that's great. I would ask you to solicit from the board what specific questions or areas of discussion for the workshop. I don't like to have people come and then bombard them with questions where they're not prepared. So if we know it's going to be recreation is here, solicit questions or areas of interest prior to the workshop so that we don't waste time or waste our employees' times after hours. And then our staff is, fully prepared to answer whatever questions there are.
yeah, I appreciate that. And I think the other component is to allow them to kind of give that review maybe and generate some questions from the board, for the next time they appear. So especially with finance, where are we for the year? How are we looking, revenues, expenditures, the audit component. The audit we're hoping is going to be before the board in June or July. So, having that discussion and just kind of putting more of a word out there for residents on what's going on, especially in case they haven't read our material or aren't checking the website. So, but I think that's good, definitely good feedback. So, one other item I didn't have, if it's okay, if I mention, we were approached by Mack Trucks about a month ago to look at the timing of the traffic signals in the area of the plant. As probably some residents have experienced some frustration sometimes when the plant lets out or there's workers coming there in the morning. To maybe make some adjustments in timing of the sequencing for the lights. We had our traffic engineer look at the corridor. He did some traffic counts. Had some recommendations on maybe some specific hourly timing, like in the morning, 7 to 9, in the afternoon, that 2 to 4 window. And we feel that it's probably a good idea to move it forward. With that, the board has to, you may remember, we approved the resolution for the TE 160 forms from the state. And we thought it would be good business practice for us to bring back the TE 160. Those are the applications that adjust the timing for the light back to the board just for consideration. You don't have to do a resolution now, so that everybody's aware, the board and the public, when we make adjustments to these lights. So if the board would like to think about it and consider it, we're not in a hurry. The only hurry we're in would like to maybe make the adjustment before school's out to see if it creates issues or improves issues. But that would be our only time frame. Like I said, this was more generated from a complaint or concern from them. So
Did they have a specific location?
they do. Renee, do you still have that email up? I'm sorry. Yeah. 100 in Gaiman, 100 in Albertus, and 100 in Willow Lane. So those three corridor lights right in front of basically the plant, like Wawa in that section.
Shouldn't we go one light further toward the tracks?
I could ask them that. I know that they were trying to be mindful of the borough. So they wanted to make sure that no adjustments had to be done on the borough side or the borough lights.
Yeah, the next light down would be in the borough, right?
And
Yeah.
and I think that's in there. The reviews and the shift counts, takes that into consideration to not have to make those adjustments.
Well, okay, so, a consideration is the next light down that's on the street with the, post office.
Oh,
And,
that light. There is-
and the one at, Willow. Okay, those need to be in sync so that people can get in and out of the hospital. And so that's why I don't think we ought to leave out the timing of that other one as
Yeah.
well.
Okay.
Yeah, so we will have to coordinate with the borough for that one specifically.
Yeah, and I will confirm with the traffic engineer. I'm trying to see where he actually mentions the meshing of that corridor with their lights. I'll make sure I get the information on that and how that's being handled. You're right. We don't want to leave that component out on that lower side. And some of the analysis coordination times were 7 to 3, 7 a.m. to 3 p.m., 3 p.m. to 7 p.m. Monday through Friday. They looked at 6:15 a.m. to 7:15 a.m. and 2:30 to 3:30 p.m. That's part of their count inventory. But I will confirm on those.
Okay. Anything else, Mr. Vital?
I don't believe so. I
Okay.
think I'm talked out, unless there's any questions or anything for me.
Okay, public comment on agenda topics. Julie? No? Okay, seeing none, then this
I'm-
meeting is adjourned.
I'm sorry, can I jump in there real quick? Can I have a quick executive with the board about personnel? So I don't,
Yes.
if it's okay.
Okay, so that we will have an executive board meeting or executive session immediately following this workshop, which is now adjourned. Renee, can you send me whatever link I need to do to reset my password